Hey everyone, it is Monday, January 2nd, 2023. That sounds a little weird. The time is 1 p.m. and the temperature right now is around 4 degrees Celsius. And that is the Yonge Eglinton Center. I'm here in Midtown, just north of the intersection of Yonge and Eglinton. And as you can see, there's still a lot of construction here. And what I'll be doing for this one is heading down to Eglinton Avenue East. And I'll walk east along Eglinton over towards Bayview. And then I'll head south through the Bayview Leaside area. And along the way, at least along the Eglinton stretch, we'll check out how the construction of the Crosstown LRT is still impacting things. And this has pretty much been an ongoing nightmare for as long as I've lived in this neighborhood. I moved here back in 2014. And from then until now, I can't remember a time where this area wasn't all blocked off due to construction. That's a look to the west. And there's the station entrance to the Crosstown portion of Eglinton Station, which was supposed to open back in 2020. And then that was delayed till 2021. And then 2022, and just recently, it's been announced that it'll be delayed indefinitely.
Fresh cupcakes for a donation. And then
You used to be able to access Eglinton subway station from any corner of the intersection here. Those have all been blocked off. And there used to be a way to connect underground from that side over into the Yonge Eglinton Center. I'm not sure if that'll ever reopen. Construction initially began back in 2011. Although, according to Google Street Maps, or rather Street View, the construction hoarding didn't go up along Eglinton here till sometime between May 2013 and early 2014. And if you're wondering what the Crosstown is, it's a 25-station LRT line. It'll run along Eglinton Avenue here, from Kennedy in the east. And it'll head west all the way to Mount Dennis. And just beside this Burger King, or rather this McDonald's, used to be a Burger King that was taken down to make way for the e-condos here. And once upon a time, this used to be a Boston Pizza. It later became Prohibition Gastro House. And it looks like there might be new plans for that building.
That's why they went.
And this used to be a Second Cup, which is kind of like a Canadian version of Starbucks, but now it is a Zteca. So as you can imagine, businesses and residents have been rather heavily impacted by this. So in a perfect world, the Crosstown LRT would be up and running by now. And it would be underground for this stretch. It's mostly underground on the west side of the line. And it does run above ground on the east side. Oh, look at this. Buildings of 59 and 57 stories proposed for this lot. Not sure the construction in this area will ever end. Although more housing is a good thing ultimately. So this walk will span 3 Crosstown LRT stops. And when I get to Bayview, I'll head south. And I'll probably walk down to Davisville Avenue. This used to be a popular sports bar called Filthy McNasty's. And fortunately, in many stretches of Eglinton, the construction hoarding has disappeared.
Well, I just think that
But it certainly left a lot of damage to the road in its wake. I imagine there'll be a complete resurfacing in order once the Crosstown finally reopens or opens. And there's a redevelopment notice plan for this building here as well. Sorry. 49 and 52 stories. You wouldn't normally see a building like that and think that needs to be redeveloped, but land values here are getting to that point. It's worth more as a condo than it is a short office tower. a new pub has opened up on this spot. Christmas Elvis? That's pretty cool. That used to be a 24-hour golden griddle at one point where you could get some delicious all-night chocolate pancakes. Speaking of what used to be, one of the oldest pubs in the city used to be across the street, the Unicorn. That had to make way for this condo. And the next major street coming up will be Mount Pleasant, which, much like Yonge Eglinton, has been a disaster for the past decade or so. But they are claiming most of the construction is completed, and it actually looks like the intersection is pretty much back to normal. I think this is my first time seeing it like this. That's certainly a good sign. Let's see if we can get a look at the station entrance. And it looks like cars once again can turn onto Mount Pleasant from Eglinton. While it was under construction, you could only go straight through. And there is supposed to be 11 kilometers of bike lanes going in on Eglinton along where the Crosstown runs. And they've been roughed in some places. I'm wondering if that's what this is here. Unfortunately, a lot of the bike lanes will just be painted on, not doing much for cyclist or pedestrian safety. I'm guessing this will be the station entrance here. It's nice to see they actually incorporated it into an existing building. They expropriated and knocked down a lot of buildings to make way for stations along this line. So it's just a matter of time before the LRT eventually opens. I bet the businesses in this area are breathing a lot easier. It's bad enough they had to endure a pandemic, but also 10 years of limited access certainly couldn't have helped. I've noticed a lot of buildings on Eglinton, particularly in Little Jamaica, have seen commercial and retail tenants go out of business during the Crosstown construction, more so than I think you would see in other parts of the city. There goes a 34 Eglinton bus. see any connections to the station other than the one we saw on the northwest corner. Oh, there we go. An entire building has appeared. And given how condos are springing up everywhere, it's kind of curious that these aren't being incorporated into much taller structures. There's definitely going to be the demand to use this land upwards. No unauthorized vehicles beyond this point. What about people with cameras? Crosslinks is a consortium of different construction companies that are actually building Crosstown LRT. And Metrolinx is the provincial transit authority that oversees that construction. And I think they're taking turns pointing the finger at one another. It'll be interesting to see how this area intensifies in the coming years. There's a lot of low-density buildings right on Eglinton. So according to a CBC article I found on my way over to record this one, Crosslinks has yet to provide an updated work schedule that would detail what's being done to reduce the project's delay. And the article stated about 98% of the construction is complete. And about 79% of the train and track testing is done. I don't think Eglinton Station is expected to open with the rest of the line. We've been having troubles with that particular location. Luxury suites for rent. I don't know if luxury is the word that comes to mind, but they look pretty decent. And I imagine they'll still have to run the Eglinton bus. As you'll notice, it's quite a distance between the LRT stops. Much like on Yonge Street, the 97 bus runs to supplement the subway service. And here's a very common occurrence in these parts. They want to squeeze a new building in between this apartment and what appears to be a condo. So the next major street coming up will be Bayview. That's where I'll head south. There's a 51 Leslie bus. A lot of buses from other routes end up getting fed onto this stretch of Eglinton, such as the 54 in Lawrence there. And they terminate at Eglinton Station. So this will be Leaside Station coming up, and then I think it's Laird Station after that. And then it'll pop above ground and head east over to Science Center Station, which will also be the home of an Ontario Line station. In fact, that's where the Northern Station will terminate, or the line will terminate to the north. I'm still recovering from a lack of sleep over New Year's. This is actually my first daytime walk during 2023 that I've recorded. I think Metrolinx has already taken delivery of 76 LRT vehicles that'll be used. If you're wondering what they look like, they look very much like the current Toronto streetcars. In a different livery, they're rocking a gray and black and white color scheme. And at some point this year, the Finch West LRT is set to open. And that's another LRT line that is 18 stops and 10 kilometers. And that one began construction back in 2016. Although since there's no tunneling or underground work, it's quite understandable that construction wouldn't take nearly as long. So I think that one will be line 6, and Eglinton here will be line 5. And line 3, the Scarborough RT, will be decommissioned later this year. So I guess we'll just have no line 3 for a while. So this street is Banff Road. Although once this LRT finally opens, it'll be a source of a lot of content for me. I'm sure I'll be doing videos of rides along the LRT as well as checking out a lot of the stations and the neighborhoods that they connect to. Onondaga Camp offers an extraordinary environment for kids to play, explore, Achieve and grow. I don't think I ever did the camp thing as a kid. I went to winter camp on a grade 7 trip. And somewhat tragically, the Crosstown LRT will not have signal priority for the above ground stretches. That means the LRT vehicles will not be able to trigger green lights as they approach. Which really kind of makes you scratch your head and almost say, what's the point? It's not really going to be faster than the St. Clair streetcar line, which has its own dedicated right-of-way and doesn't have signal priority. And if you've ever ridden that line, you know it can be a bit painful at times and pokey. Every once in a while, the streetcars get held up by a turning car. That's interesting. I wonder if they laid the bricks down like that, or if the trees just kind of bubbled up at the roots a bit and forced the bricks up. And the lack of signal priority makes it possible for LRT bunching to occur. So instead of having maybe LRT vehicles come in increments of 4 to 5 minutes, you might find yourself waiting 10 or 15 minutes and then a whole bunch of them come by. I've certainly seen that happen with the St. Clair streetcar. What was this person honking at? So this is Bayview Avenue. So much like Mount Pleasant and Eglinton, this one has also been a nightmare for quite a while. There's a look at the future station entrance. Again, right on a prominent street corner. It's a bit puzzling why this is its own standalone building. There's definitely going to be the demand to build something much taller on that spot. And the same goes for that corner. And that used to actually be a McDonald's. That had a pretty kick-ass playroom. Okay, this button doesn't work. You'd think that wouldn't be necessary at such a major intersection. And the pedestrian crossing signal would just trigger automatically. And one thing Metrolinx did is they opted to name a lot of the stations after their local neighborhoods. rather than the street or intersection name, which kind of makes sense, as north of here on line 4 at Shepherd is Bayview Station, and if you name this one Bayview, there might be some confusion, but why not just call it Bayview South? Speaking of which, Bayview itself runs all the way north to the city of Newmarket, which is in the opposite direction. I'm heading south. And it expires to the south in the Canary District, which is right next to the Distillery District. And there's a 35-story building plan for this lot. I think the Crosstown has been a catalyst for some development along this stretch. There's a home that's been completely redone. Looks like property developers have claimed much of those homes, and they'll be building a low-rise condo project, which makes this thing all the more curious. I imagine at some point they'll be approached, even though it's still fairly new. So this is south down the east side of Bayview, and we'll be entering Bayview Leaside Village. And this part of Bayview is the old border between the former borough of East York, which is on the left, and the city of Toronto proper on the right. And that border was scrubbed away and the city amalgamated into what they call the megacity. So this is Sudan Avenue. And I bet that dry cleaner used to be a gas station at one point. And this is where Bayview Leaside begins. It runs south down this stretch of Bayview. See that street sign there, Bayview Leaside. And I think it ends around Davisville Avenue. There's a lot of neat retail and restaurants on this stretch. Although it's not really a destination neighborhood. In fact, I think a lot of people in the city probably don't even know this is here. There's no major transit connections or any businesses that would be of a particularly big draw. There's a new condo project. And something called the Sweet Potato is moving into that retail space. There's Indian Street Food Co., which I was about to mention, but then I saw the sign. This was listed in Bib Gourmand as one of the better value restaurants in the city. That list is put on by the Michelin Guide. This area is certainly not immune to cannabis stores. And every time I walk through here, even on weekend afternoons, it's always a bit on the quiet side. And I think that's a byproduct of it being mostly low-density housing in this area. There's a look into the Leaside neighborhood. This Shoppers is located in an old cinema. Turkish cuisine moving in. Here it is, Craig's Cookies. I've popped in there on a couple of live streams. They're quite fantastic. And I walked by one on Church Street recording a video with the Ken Continuum and Action Kid. And we popped into Craig's Cookies there. I think the two Kens were quite impressed. And I think that was a bus I wanted to get on. That's the 11 Bayview. That runs between Davisville Station and Sunnybrook, which is to the north of here. So my plan was to hop on the 11 and head over to Davisville and then pop north up to Eglinton. That'll take me back to where I started this one. It's Mila Kunis's favorite bakery in Toronto, Cobb's. Although she was going to one down in the Beaches neighborhood. Okay, so I could totally catch that bus if I wanted to. You know what, let's do it. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this walk through Bayview Village, or Bayview Leaside. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And if you wish to support the channel, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership in the description. Thank you.
Where do you want to go? Are we going down? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we just go all the way to the Davisville station. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Yoink.